Hello and welcome to ITIL 4 Specialist, Create, Deliver and Support, CDS Training and Certification Program from trainingsdirect.com. Firstly, about Trainings Direct, it's a global training organization. It's an accredited organization by PeopleCert to conduct Axelos courses like ITIL, Prince2 and others. And we also conduct other courses like DevOps, Agile Shift, which is from Axelos, of course, and other certifications as well. We have offices in several countries across the globe, and we provide trainings in IT, business management, project management, ISO standards, and others which are emerging training programs. The trainings are available in several modes, classroom originally, but also more conveniently in online with the live trainer, e-learning, which is self-learning, and or mixed blended approach, and with support provided to you after the training so that you succeed in your aspirations for your career. About myself, my name is Muralidhar Gadam, Murali in short. I'm certified in ITIL 4 in some of the certifications which have been published by Axelos at this point in time. I also teach ITIL as well as I teach PMP, Prince2, and Successful Program Management, which is also from Axelos. I'm also certified in Verism, which is from the IFDC, which is a digital transformation related certification. Somewhat similar to ITIL, though it considers ITIL as just one element of the digital transformation. And I'm also certified in DevOps. So this is my portfolio. I've been working in IT for quite some time, though over the last 5 years I've been mostly into education and a bit of consulting. And I worked with teams on site, as well as mostly in my own home country in India. So I usually try to bring in my own experience while educating others. At the same time, I like to interact with them and appreciate their insights, their experiences, their queries, so that it is a successful program for all of us. You and me both succeed, and we go towards the certification and are able to obtain those certifications and move forward in our career. So I worked in IT service management, but also in software development, and I've been a project manager, program manager, looked at various technologies, databases, OS, operating systems, and so on, and eventually moved up to directing levels in various global organizations. All these materials are based on Axelos guidances. So we acknowledge Axelos for allowing us to incorporate those guidances into these training programs. And because we are an accredited organization, we are required to comply with some of the standards maintained by Axelos and PeopleCert. This is the overall certification scheme for ITIL 4, IT Infrastructure Library, that is. It begins with the foundation level. And right now, this training program is focusing on the first box in the middle, Create, Deliver, and Support, CDS. There are other programs like Drive Stakeholder Value, High Velocity IT, Direct, Plan, and Improve. These 4 certifications together take you to the Managing Professional destination. On the other hand, if you did Direct, Plan, and Improve along with the Digital and IT Strategy, it will take you to the Strategic Leader certification, the path. So there are 2 paths here. You could choose either one based on your own needs, your own experience, and your aspirations. Those of you who hold a V3 certification, particularly if you have a V3 expert certification, you would have to just write this single exam, MP, Managing Professional Transition, or a bridging exam to directly reach the MP level in V4. But if an individual has not reached expert in V3, they would have to continue the other certifications in V3 in order to reach the minimum criteria to take the MP transition exam. Otherwise, if you are new to ITIL, then you could begin with Foundation ITIL and move upwards. The ITIL Master is for individuals who can demonstrate experience, and the exam is It also includes interviews and other checks before the master certification is awarded. A little bit about the publications and the exam, how they work. For every exam, there is a publication. For example, this one, CDS, has its own publication from Excelos, and that's the basis for this training. So these are the ones repeated again: foundation, create, deliver, and support, drive stakeholder value, high velocity IT, direct plan and improve, digital IT strategy. The most recent one is the digital IT strategy. Every practice is published separately. I mean, the manuals are different. And for managing professional, there is no separate publication. It's based on the remaining manuals. It's also important to understand the exam syllabus. The exam doesn't include the complete manual for each topic. It includes the syllabus, that is, includes content, some content from the publication. It also includes content from the practices. So Excelos also publishes practices like release management, deployment management. You see here incident management, business analysis. There are 34 such practices. And there are some practices only which are applicable for this certification, not all the 34. So eventually, if you covered all the Excelos certification, you will be well versed with all the 34 certifications. Some certifications require knowledge of few practices. Some certifications require knowledge of many more practices. So we're going to eventually look at which practices are relevant for the CDS certification. And there is some content from the publication which are not included. So not the 100% from every manual is part of the exam. Therefore, the syllabus document. So if you created an account on the Excelos site, and if you logged in, you could download sample papers, you can download the syllabus, and you can see which are the chapters from the manual which are included for the exam. However, in this training, you don't have to be worrying about it because I'm going to show you clearly what the syllabus is before we go into every topic. It's good to know a little bit about the Bloom's level or the Bloom's taxonomy of learning. The foundation exam on one hand focuses more on testing understanding of concepts and recalling from memory those concepts. However, the managing professional exams, meaning the CDS one like this one, or the HVIT, or the DSV, or the DPI and DITS, those are the other certifications in V4. Those have questions not only at the level 2. So foundation has level 1 and level 2 questions. It's recalling concepts and understanding them. So that's level 2 is about understanding the concepts. But there are also level 3 questions in the create, deliver, and support exam, which means we need to understand how to apply those concepts. So it's not a thorough analysis of the concepts. It's not looking into very complex situations or becoming creative or anything, but it's just a simple application of the concept. Therefore, there are no questions at the higher levels like Bloom 4 and above. And experience is not required in ITIL. So which means your work experience is not verified before you write the exam. However, you would have to take training, which can be in any mode like e-learning or trainer-based learning. Now about the exam itself, it's a 1.5 hour exam. If the foundation exam is for 1 hour, whereas the higher level exams like this one are for 1.5 hours. There are 40 questions to be covered in 90 minutes, 90, 28 to pass. Unlike the foundation where you need only 26 to pass out of 40, here you need 28 to pass. So the challenge is a little bit more, and plus you have to apply the concepts rather than just understanding and recalling the concepts. It's invigilated by someone, and it's a closed book exam. No case studies will be there, but every question poses a small situation. Some questions, there may be limited questions where there are some theory tested, because it does have the Bloom level 2 questions to recall, understand, and clarify concepts, but there'll be more level 3 questions to apply the concepts. Moving on. This is the introduction to the CDS. It's a specialist certification. This is like the engine room of the IT organization. Just like in the olden days, we had steam engines. Eventually, there were electric engines, diesel engines, then electric engines. And now I think in 1 or 2 countries, they even have the magnetic elevation, magnetic levitation trains as well when it comes to engines on trains. So similarly, CDS is the main engine of the IT function or the digital function. Therefore, it is very useful for people who are practicing IT on a day-to-day basis. It is useful for engineers, specialists, as well as leaders like managers, senior managers, and more so relevant in the digital age where people talk about digital transformation, collaboration, artificial intelligence, and so on. So those who are into delivery of services, developing services, deploying them, installing, monitoring and supporting, and creating assurance, complying with the regulations and etc. They are the ones who would benefit with these certifications because it equips you with practical knowledge from the various practices to understand how do we do things like manage incidents or manage releases, etc. It gives focus on how users are supported and how services are delivered. There's also a little bit of strategic direction provided in the CDS certification by looking from a holistic view rather than looking at a very lower level. You would be, when we go into the value stream, it allows you to or promotes you to look at from a very high level in terms of how various departments or various functions and teams within an organization are able to respond to customer requests efficiently and effectively, rather than every individual or every department focusing on just what they are doing. So it's a collective performance, not individual performance. So there's a lot about the value streams in the CDS, though it originally came from manufacturing. So we're going to learn a lot more about it here. And interestingly, and for your benefit, unfortunately, there's also information, good amount of information about the modern technologies like robotics, automation, AI, machine learning, analytics like data science, and so on. Not too in-depth, but however, some familiarity with how these upcoming emerging technologies may be applied in IT service management. However, one has to be open to the newer innovations which are coming up in the market, because what is emerging today will become outdated maybe after some years. And we also have frameworks like Agile, DevOps, Shift Left, which have gained significant popularity. And we're going to understand how these things also work and how these support IT service management. Before I proceed further, since I have spoken about the syllabus, I would like to show you just a sample question. We are not going to attempt it now, but this is a sample question officially published by Axelos. So for the exam, you have to be prepared to answer such questions. There will be another video we will have the complete sample paper practiced for your benefit. So if you look at the question size, it is not too small, not too large, but of a medium size, which means that we must do some thinking and some application of the concepts what we learned from this training. This question is about the value stream. It actually tests us without going into the details here. The question is, which statement about the design of the value stream is most correct? So there's a bit of challenge maybe, depending on our understanding of the concept of value stream. So good preparation is essential for the CDS exam and other ITIL exams. So as I mentioned, we won't really go into this question right now. And one more thing about the exam is you would have, from the 40 questions, there are 16 questions on value stream, which is a significant number. It doesn't mean that all the 16 questions will just be on the value stream, but also the associated practices for the value stream. For example, there may be change enablement, incident management, or any other practices which are connected with the value stream concept. So you would have several questions from those practices also. In fact, out of the 16 value stream questions, 10 questions are coming from the practices, and the remaining 6 questions only are coming from the value stream concept itself. About the modern technologies, which I was talking a while ago, you will have 4 questions from there. Every question has the same amount of mark, 1 mark per question. Therefore, 4 questions for technologies like robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, and so on. And there are 8 questions on the general topics like culture, team management, competencies, skills, etc., general concepts of CDS. And there are 2 more topics which have 12 questions in total, and this is coming from the work prioritization. For example, things like Kanban, the queuing systems, how to prioritize work, how to assign work, allocate work, triaging, swarming, shift left, and some of those concepts. There will be 12 questions from there. These 12 questions also include questions about supplier management, the different types of suppliers, the outsourcing aspects, and the different models, the newer model of CM, service integration and management. So all these concepts together, supplier and work prioritization, have 12 marks. So therefore, just to summarize, 8 marks on the general questions, 4 questions on IT technologies, 16 questions on value stream, which include 10 questions from practices, and 12 questions from work prioritization and supplier management. There may be a slight difference in the allocation of marks as compared to what I have told you. Yeah, but this is the general guidance from Excelos. Therefore, by the end of this module, you would be able to understand how to plan and build a service value stream to create, deliver, and support services. A service value stream is an end-to-end view of what happens from the time a customer makes a request and until the time the customer's request is fulfilled. And there may be several types of requests. For example, a user submitting an incident information, or a customer asking for a new service, or asking for an improvement in a service. Each of those situations is a different value stream. And therefore, to respond to those requests and to create those value streams, different departments, different functions, different groups of people have to work together and collaborate, not just cooperate, collaborate and make sure the customer is satisfied or delighted. Second objective, understand how relevant ITIL practices contribute to creation, delivery, and support across the service value system and value streams. So it goes a little bit above the value stream concept. There are other things about the practices. How are the practices enabling the delivery, the creation, the delivery, and support of services? And lastly, in general, how to create, deliver, and support services using the various practices, using the value stream concepts, using other concepts like supplier management, IT, modern technologies, the general concepts like culture, competencies, skills, teamwork, collaboration, and so on. And on the right, you see, once again, reiterating that the practices are also playing a key role in the exam syllabus. You will recollect from the foundation level that there are 6 value chain activities, the SVC, that is, engage, plan, improve, design, transition, obtain, build, deliver, and support. And you see here the box, the rectangular box, which highlights design and transition, obtain, build, deliver, and support. So these are the 3 main SVC activities which are pertaining to the CDS guidance, which means that you're going to see in this training program elements about design and transitions, elements about obtaining and building, elements about delivery and support, and less about engagement aspects meaning the relationship aspects, and less about the planning aspects, and less about the improvement aspects. However, those are also essential. We cannot ignore them entirely. Just in case you were thinking what the syllabus really is, here it is in front of you. It has several sections. So this is the 1.1, the first one. This is the criteria or the syllabus itself, the curriculum itself. We are going to go through 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Then we move on to 2.1 until 2.4, and similarly 3.1 to 3.2. So we've got about 10 sections or 10 different criteria within the syllabus to cover in this training program. And it also includes, by the way, those practices as well. The relevant practices, that is. So to begin with, on the CDS, we're going to understand the concepts and challenges relating to organization structure. There are different types of organization structures. Those of you who are into project management will understand the challenges of dealing with the different types of organization structures when you run projects. Similarly, when you create services, deliver services, you would have to keep into perspective those various organization structures. Then there's the concept of integrated and collaborative teams. Traditionally, we would have cooperation and helping each other, but now it's more about collaboration. So we will have a clear understanding about what's the difference between the traditional cooperative approach and the more modern collaborative approach. Without teams and clearly defined roles, skills, and competencies, it's impossible to undertake any endeavor. Therefore, team capabilities, roles, and competencies are important to be understood and planned properly. Team culture is, for example, when teams are distributed across several locations, how do we maintain a team culture? And therefore, it's essential to know what is the definition of team culture by which we are more alert to establish and maintain the team culture, irrespective of how the team members are spread, single location, multi-location, etc. Working as per a customer-orientated or a customer-oriented mindset. All of us know that customers are the number one stakeholder, and particularly ITIL guidance tells us that the most important stakeholder when we focus on value is the customer. And how do we achieve that? What is this customer mindset? Employee satisfaction. Research has found out that satisfied employees, happy employees also make happy customers. So it's important to satisfy employees by working, by supporting them, taking their feedback, implementing their feedback. So not just taking feedback, but also showing responses or action plans to tell them that, hey, we are taking action on your feedback. Lastly, positive communications. These are principles about communications. You might have experienced sometimes that if a communication is not done properly, if it is not done to the right individual, to the right group, if it is not done at the right time, at the right place, then things will not be as expected. So there are some principles, there are 5 principles here, which are of relevance when it comes to communications.